Okay, well, that video blew up, to my standards at least. And due to popular demand, okay, it was really more like one person who asked for it, but they didn't really ask for the video. But I already had plans to make this video of me explaining how I made it, so I'm making it anyways. Yay! Anyways, let's just get started. So what I actually did at first was I just messed around on my guitar, trying to find a chord progression I wanted to use, and I ended up with this chord progression on screen. I would give an explanation why I chose this chord, but I feel like people wouldn't really care for that, so I'll just keep it simple and because it sounds nice. Next up, I start with the drums usually, because they set the groove and energy of the song. But sometimes I start in other instruments first, like, it's really just down to preference in my opinion. Like, if you already have the whole song thought out in your head, you can just start recording from whichever instrument you want. But in this case, I just start with the drums, and this is where I recorded. And after I recorded the drums, I started with the guitar. And the guitar is very interesting because before the verse actually starts, I didn't actually play the chords. I tried going for a rhythm melody, something like, I guess, Eve song, and this is how it sounds like. Okay, next up is the bass. Now, I really wanted to settle the groove in, and oh hello cat. Right, anyways, the bass, I wanted to settle the groove in, and I decided to go with some slap bass, going from the root to the fourth and then back to the root again. Which goes a little something like this, with a slap action. Next up, I played some piano, playing some chords, though it's like there's a slight syncopation between the left and the right hand, which sounds a little bit like this. Next up, some pads, polysynth to add some more depth to the song, which sounds like this on the solo track. Okay, and now we enter into the verse, in which we actually start playing the chord progression we just made. And in the piano, you can see it plays chords with a slight syncopation between the left and right hand as well. On the guitar, it literally just plays chords. On the bass, it plays a little bit of a melody. And on the second part of the verse, it plays a little bit of slap. And there's a violin stab on the second part of the verse to add more depth to the song, which you can hear right here. Start from the very beginning of the verse. Okay, now next up is the pre-chorus. It's relatively simple as well. The piano still plays the same chords, but with an arpeggiated high pitch, not really high pitch, high note melody, followed by a melody played by a lower octave. And then the violin plays a counterpoint, while there's also, this is very important, there's a riser to add tension to the actual song, and I'll show you why it's important. I'll play with and without the riser. This is with the riser. Now this is without the riser. Now, see how when it enters into the chorus, there's less tension than it would be without the riser. The riser in this scenario it helps build up momentum into the chorus. So when it hits the chorus, you can really feel it. You can really feel the drop, like it goes up and then bam. Yeah, I'm a nerd, Lamau. Okay, now next up is actually the piano. Usually I start on the guitar if it's the chorus, but in this particular part, I really wanted to emphasize on the piano because it really sets a dreamlike quality with this arpeggiated chord playstyle. And I'll just show you why, because it sounds really dreamy in my opinion. Next up is the guitar. I forgot to mention earlier that I recorded 2 tracks of separate guitar parts for each part. One is for the left and one is for the right part. And the reason I do that is to add more depth to the actual song. Like instead of just making it a mono track, I make it a stereo track by recording one on the left and recording another one on the right. This is a pretty basic concept for, I'm sure like every guitarist who has ever recorded already know this, but yeah. And for this chorus part, I have 2 guitar parts. One is playing the chords and the other is playing, I guess also chords, but it's on the higher register. As you can see here, I'll play it right now. Now, we're gonna be talking about the bass. I'm not gonna talk about the drums because if you look at this, it's really just the same parts. It's just looped over and over again, except instead of hitting the hi-hat, it hits the ride. Now, for the bass, to make it really groovy, I play a root note and then an octave above it, as you can see here. Anyways, that's it for the chorus, and I guess there's one more, which is the solo, and I just play here. And it's a solo. What can you expect? It's just a guitar solo. Okay, now we're actually gonna talk about the intro and outro, which is something I kinda just made up on the fly. I literally just fucked around and find out. And well, on the outro, it's basically like it goes up a semitone and a semitone and a semitone, and then followed by the actual outro riff. And the outro riff is actually just the reverse of the intro riff. And the outro riff, there's like a little bit of a drum solo, as you can see here. I'll play it right now. And this is the intro with the riser and everything and sound effects, and also there's actually something I forgot to add, which is the brass synth and the polysynth, which literally just mimics the piano, and it sounds like this. Okay, so next up is actually the whole vocals, and like I'm really not the best at explaining vocals because I'm not a good vocalist, and I really don't know how to mix vocals as well and how to like layer vocals. But essentially what I did is just record the main vocals, which is these two tracks, and then separate it into which parts I want to use with distortion. It's not really distortion, more like an effect. I guess it is distortion. Then I layered it here with there's high vocals, there's harmony, then there's the lower vocals, which is the same version of the original vocals but higher and lower. Then there's the harmony, as I mentioned earlier, and then in this part it's also the same, except there's whispers instead. And then in the chorus, I actually played a lot with harmony, and I really liked how it turned out, though it's still pretty bad. And yeah, it's basically the same principle. You just put the high and low vocals and then harmonies in. That's how I layered vocals anyways. I don't know how the professionals does it, so yeah, I'll just play it.
足音が響く静寂遠ざかる街の明かりどこにもない地図を探し終わらない夜をさまよ目に見えない境界線壊せるか試されてる問いかける影の声何をなくしても進めるか今でも答えは出せないそれでも手を伸ばしてねじれた世界の果てで真実の形を知る不確かなままの願いただ手放したくはない迷宮の先に何があるそれは誰にもわからないならば自分の足で答えを刻みつけるだけ
And there you have it. And funny story, I actually don't have any friends who can speak Japanese, so I just made the lyric in English and I translated it thanks to ChatGPT. I know a lot of you would probably not like the fact that I used AI to translate English, but yeah, well, trying to make a jrock song with no knowledge of any Japanese whatsoever, so cut me some slack. Okay. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. That was my explanation, or at least I tried to explain on how I tried making my song, which I kind of forgot the title to. I'll just show it on screen when I remember it. Okay, bye-bye. それでも手を伸ばしてねじれた世界の